Very, very good to have you with us today.
Thank you.
As a way of introduction, please just tell us your names and what it is that you do.
So my name is Waithera Mwangi, and I work at Siasa Place. I'm the finance manager there. And so what that means is that I support the team that goes to the field in terms of their logistics and just making sure that they have what they need to get their work done.
Okay, Waithera, you look like a young person, vibrant and excited. What's your interest in Siasa in Kenya?
My interest in Siasa is the fact that the political affects everything else in our lives. And so from what you eat, where your kids go to school, how you'll get to work in the morning, whether you'll be able to express yourself or not in this country, all that, it's based on the politics of the country. And so that way, I have no choice but to be interested in the political in this country.
And what is your view of Kenyan politics? What is your own gut, honest opinion?
My honest opinion about the politics of this country is that we could use an overhaul. We truly could. Because it saddens me that we are very good at recycling. We are just recycling the same old. We complain and complain in our private spaces, but when it comes to the actual voting in of people, we go back to the same habits. And so that saddens me, because I wonder whether we will ever become conscious enough to actually make the changes that we need to make and make the difference that we want to see, the one that we talk about in our private rooms. So those are my thoughts on our political space. We need a change, and we need it now.
And what is an ideal scenario for you for our political situation? Paint for me an ideal picture of what you would like to see.
What I would like to see is service delivery to the local Mwananchi. I would like to see accountability, that money goes where it's supposed to go, that people get the services they need. If I'm unwell, I don't need to be thinking about, do I have a good medical cover, a private one? I don't need to be thinking about, when I have kids, will I need to have enough money to take them to a private school? Because the government actually provides quality services, and so I don't have to worry about these things. So that would be the ideal. So just good leadership that enables people to access what they should access, when they should access it, without any trouble at all, without having to think, do I have a connection in a certain office in order for me to get my passport in time, without having to think about such things. That's all I would like to see. It sounds very easy when you talk about it like that, because all I want is service. I mean, just deliver on service. I want healthcare, just deliver on it. That's all I want. So that would be my ideal, that people get what they want when they need it. And I think why I say it's ideal is because these needs are basic. We're not asking for too much. We're just asking for, the basic needs when we were in school: food, shelter, clothing, add healthcare, education into that. That's all we want. If we have that together, then I don't even think we'd have a problem in this country.
And the youth have been accused of not being involved so much in politics in our nation. How can you encourage them to do that?
First of all, I can see why they're not involved, because it's easy to feel like this doesn't involve me. Because first of all, even when you look at who is there right now, it's mostly the people who are there are older. And we don't have anything against the older people, but do they have plans of mentoring others and allowing them to get into power? And even beyond mentorship, are they raising us up? Are we being raised up well? And so I can see why they're apathetic and why they don't do anything with politics, because they're mostly used. So someone will promise you, a leader will promise you stuff, but they know what they want. And so the youth are mostly used in the political space. And that sounds like, oh, you guys always play victim. But I think based on how the structure is, it's very hard for someone to go it alone. It's very hard. You need to be handheld, and see why youth will just be like, we don't care. Let them run the country to wherever. So I can see why. But how can youth be engaged? I think the constitution actually allows for them to participate, and that's why it was voted in overwhelmingly, because of the aspect of devolution. And devolution is supposed to be government going to the people. And youth being the majority in this country, then they are the majority of the people. And so they need to engage. And the Constitution talks about the sovereignty of the people, and people can engage directly or indirectly. And so directly is them themselves, indirectly is through the leaders they elect. And so if the leaders you have elected are not working for you, then there are other mechanisms that ideally should work. They don't always work, but we can't just sit back and say they don't work. We have to try them first, and then we see where does it go, and also utilize the vast, the beauty of social media. We have social media, and so social media together with the mechanisms that the government has, that the Constitution has put in place, would go very well together. What do I mean when I say engaging directly? First of all, I challenge my friends to know who their representatives are. Do you know where the offices of your leaders are? Do you know? If you had an issue today, do you know where you should go? Do you know who is your MCA and what they do? Do you know what their job is? So that we can also stop assigning blame to the wrong people, because that's where we start. We have to be informed, and so we have to do the work of learning, so that we can now engage from a place of being informed. So understand what your MCA does, what your ward administrator does, who to address your issues to, and then now start from there, so that you know, if my road is spoiled, this is the office I go to. I think that's one of the ways we can engage, in addition to social media, because I know many of us are very good at social media, at hashtags, we follow them all. And my only concern with that is that it is short-lived, at least in the way that it has been structured in this country. We get agitated and angry about an issue for a week or 3 days, and then we move on to the next. But we need to stay in an issue. If corruption is bothering us, we stay there. We stay there until it's sorted out, because there's no need of, like now, talking about COVID-19 millionaires. There's no need of talking about it for a week, and then next week we are distracted to the next issue. There's no need, there's no difference we are making. We are just venting and then repeating the same issues. In another 6 months, we'll have a bigger corruption scandal, we'll make more noise, and nothing will ever be done. So mine is to encourage us to move beyond social media and actually go to the streets even, and in an organized way though, and legally, because there are legal ways of how do you get a protest approved, so that you can actually make a difference.
Yeah. And how is Siasa Place offering the youth that opportunity? What structure do you have that if somebody is listening to you and they are feeling agitated and I want to do something like this, I feel strongly against politics, how does Siasa Place offer that structure for young people to be able to do that?
So Siasa Place is a youth-led, youth-focused CSO that seeks to see more youth involved.
CSO stands for?
CSO is Civil Society Organization. And so our work revolves around how can youth be more involved, and not just involved in names appearing somewhere that, oh, we have youth on this committee, but in terms of actually actively engaging and youth issues being addressed.
What structure does Siasa Place offer as a channel for young people to be able to be involved in politics in our country?
Okay. So Siasa Place is a youth-led, youth-focused civil society organization that seeks to see more youth involved. And so how we do that is by training people. That's usually the first way, because most people are not informed rather. And so we've said it is better to engage. You're taken more seriously if you engage from a place of information rather than just being everywhere. And so we train youth groups, we train youth group leaders on what the devolved government means, and who does what in the devolved government, so that they also know who to engage. We also train them on the different avenues, whether it's writing a petition, a memo, a letter, whatever you need to write, or those mechanisms. We train them on how to do that, and also on communication, because there's all this protocol, and we can't do away with that. And so there's a way that you go into offices, and when people are angry, there's the urge to just go with all your anger and spew it there, because that's the office that should deliver. But even that, there's a way that you do that honors the office and still makes you be heard. Because if you come with all your anger and your agitation, sometimes you might not be heard just because of those biases. And then that again, it propagates the thing where people say that youth are just, they're just reckless, they don't care, they talk the way they want, or they actually don't have anything to say, they are just angry people. And so just training people on even those protocols, how do you go into offices, and so also if we're invited into a county to train people, we do that. And also we can also assist people in meeting their leaders if they need help in that. We do that. We work with county governments to help them collaborate with young people and youth groups, so that youth can be heard, so that their interests can be included in the budgets, and then their issues can be addressed. So that's where we start from. And so they can talk to us. We are in CBD, which is easily accessible at Development House. And we'll share the details just so that if someone wants to reach us, they know how to.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a final question, Waithera, what do you think is the biggest problem facing Kenyan politics now as we look to 2022? What do you think is going to be the biggest impediment for the youth to take up political positions?
Lack of support, because as I mentioned, the current system caters for certain kind of people. It's like the lot has already been cast as early as now, and so youth haven't been mentored in terms of this is how you run this is how you run for politics. This is where you go. Lack of finances, because politics takes money, and so all that kind of support, financial, social, psychological, like all that, because your mindset has to be at a certain place for you to run for a seat. And so the support, because people are gonna put you down, so there's a lot of need for mentorship, and for people who are people of integrity, ideally, to just stand with young people who want to run, encourage them to run, because there are people who in our communities we can see you would make a good leader, But either you don't know that how to run, or it looks too difficult, and it's not easy. But I think it can be done. It can be done if someone knows that there's actually room for them to do that, and there is room, but there's a lot of need for support just to push them forward. Because people talk on these streets and say, oh, we are advocating for youth leadership, but that's where it ends. It ends at talk. And so the funding, the support, so people will ask you, are you sure you're doing this? Are you able to? And so if people can have that kind of support from the organizations, from churches, from just the institutions that we have in this country, if they said we want young leadership, we want untainted leadership, it is possible. But people have to be ready to support them. Because again, there's no need asking people to keep running and to tell people who are actually good leaders on the ground to keep running, and no one is supporting them. It even wears the spirit out. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Waithera, and God bless you. Thank you for joining us.